pas besoin aller l'hôpital. Ou me connaît, qui j'en moyen. Moi pas besoin aller l'hôpital. Ou docteur dit que ça va mal. Mon garde le jeu, ouais, malade. Pour ça, me sacrifier pour qu'à avec. Si chaque jour la prière, chaque jour les châtelet, chaque jour les mêmes baleines pour qu'à ouais, et m'a toujours malade. Moi, pas j'aime guéri. Si vous aimez moi, me connais tout. Malade. Moi, pas j'aime guéri. Avec moi, je dis, on t'y avait le soir. Chanter. Pas besoin aller cagangan pour me connaître que moi pas bien. Moi pas besoin de camper bien grand pour loyauté que moi non chaud. Il force me valer remède plier. N'essayez combien fois ça chaque jour, pas jaune, la guerre, et m'a toujours malade. Moi, pas jaune guéri. Si vous aimez moi, me connais tout. Malade. Moi, pas jaune guéri. Ou avec moi, je dis, ou t'es avec les soirs. Malade. Moi, pas jaune guéri. Continue à souffrir, remets cette maladie. Ça sont l'autre caille, nous pour l'autre bagaille. C'est Claude, nous pas fait fort mouvement, nous pour l'autre mouvement.
Hey.
I wish we would have came into the Haitian music though. I ain't gonna lie. I was gonna be like,
Oh yeah, that was,
you
you know what? I thought about that, but I'm like, I wasn't sure how to keep that going.
and
Shout out to our producer.
let me be politically correct. Compa. It's not Haitian music,
Compa.
it's compa music. You know, let me give it
That's true.
put some respect on it, especially things
Definitely.
we're talking all things Haitians here in South Florida. You know what I mean? Today. What's up, JT? Janae Tate?
Hey, Papa Keith.
How you doing?
I'm good. I can't complain. I'm staying dry. I got a little cheat code because I'm not down there with y'all. So how are you is the real question. Are you
I'm
still
good, man. You know,
staying dry?
yeah, I'm good. We put in a little extra work to move some things and stuff like that. But you know me, man. You know, we've had worse days, regular days, but you know, we want to pay the respect to the storm, and you know, so I'm giving it its respect, but I'm not really worried.
I mean, South Florida is out of the, kind of like the brunt and the worst of it. So tropical
Yeah.
storm winds, some rain. So, you know, you guys are missing the action of it all.
Well, not our producer. She is
Yeah, I got
she's
her.
close to the path in Tampa, so we want to wish her well, and just everybody in general in South Florida. Wish you a safe, passing of the storm. We were considering canceling this episode, and we were like, man, people ain't got nothing to do anyway. we'll, we'll probably have more people vibing with us live, because they can't run to the store. So this will be a great opportunity, and it was very important. We talked about this weeks out doing this conversation. As soon as we heard the stuff disrespecting our Haitian people, we was like, we gotta do it special on that, and that day is today, right?
Yes, definitely. Today we are talking about, combating hate speech and especially targeted to our Haitian brothers and sisters. And we have some amazing guests who are going to talk about the impact that it's had on the community, why we should be in together, and, just some things that has more insight or what we could do moving forward as a community. To me, we're all Black people, we're all people of color, and we should all stand together. And even my own personal story, I found out in my early 30s that my family, my dad's side, has Haitian lineage. And so this,
Oh,
hits a little closer to home. By no means did I was I raised in the culture of it. So I feel like it's a little bit disingenuous to be like I'm, Haitian, but it's definitely in my bloodline and in my cheekbones. You definitely could see it. So for me, it was something that I definitely wanted to have a conversation about, stand in solidarity with, and so grateful for our guests to come on today and talk about this.
absolutely. But we can't start the show without talking about us. So big up Janae Tate. She is the CEO of High Low News. She's a journalist. She came up with this concept of bringing some hyperlocal news here to South Florida, keep us informed, and spoon feed it in such a special way that I get my news from High Low News. I find out what's going on in the community from High Low News. So if I can digest it easy with the million things I'm doing, I'm sure you can too. So she's done a wonderful job with that, and
Thank
we, of course, and we've partnered to bring you this podcast, That Part Podcast 305. My name is Papa Keith. For those who don't know me, Papa Keith Walcott. And I'm all about that Just Vote Period initiative that I came up with, that also Janae partners with, where we also make voting easier to digest for our young people. We make it cool. We like to say, the cool kids who talk about voting and the importance of it and all that good stuff. So you also may know me from 103.5 The Beat here in South Florida, a wildly popular hip hop station. I do the afternoon show with my co-host Kimmy B, and I dabble in some other stuff, but I will stop at that, right? Um,
you. I mean, what you do like free hip hop festivals with like world class headliners. You're in the community all the time. Have PK for a PM. I mean, the list goes on and on. Don't be humble. Okay.
no, just we trying to get to the point of everything, so I don't want to go through all of that. But y'all Google me. How about that? I'm ready to get this party started for sure. I'm excited about this one, Janae.
Yes, me too. So, you are the man who does the amazing intro. So I'm gonna let you introduce our amazing, illustrious
She's so
guest.
slick. She be sticking me with this, but it's all good. She like to hear me stumble, but I will do my best.
No, you're a pro. You do this every day on the radio. You're so much better than me.
We have two amazing guests, Vanessa Joseph and Dr. Shirley Plantin. And first, I'm going to start with Vanessa Joseph. She's an immigration attorney at Catholic Legal Services Incorporated. She began her work in immigration and human rights as a law student. She represented low-income individuals who struggle with mental health issues. Boom, were HIV positive and had AIDS. She also delivered critical, needed legal assistance to veterans in low-income and underserved communities in South Florida. Today, as supervising attorney at CLS, she continues to provide legal service to vulnerable populations. Big up on that. Um, she eventually transitioned to providing very similar services throughout the community at large, through large groups, processing workshops and outreach throughout South Florida. On behalf of CLS, Vanessa leads various region wide collaboratives that provide immigration services for vulnerable populations. I could go on and on about this amazing woman. She has earned numerous awards, including the Haitian American Chamber of Commerce 20 Young Professionals Under 40 Award. She's also Legacy Magazine's South Florida 40 Under 40 honoree. She's also named South Florida's most influential, prominent Black woman in business and industry. She's a daughter of Haitian immigrants that moved to the United States in the late 80s, and her dedication to the Haitian community of Florida is unwavering. Clearly, why we have her on our show. She's given a passion for service. Vanessa was elected to City of North Miami's elected city clerk. In this office, she makes history as both the city's youngest and first Black female city clerk. While in office, Vanessa has worked to increase civic engagement amongst North Miami residents through various initiatives, including voting campaigns, Go Girl, and the Madam Clerk Project, a civic educational initiative targeting children. Now we're going to get into Dr. Plantin. She's the executive director of Miami-Dade Community Relations Board. She also serves as CEC, excuse me, for U-Turn Youth Consultant. She is the author of The Backstory of a New Reality. It's a supplemental workbook. Dr. Plantin facilitates trainings for institutions and systems, unmasking the backstories and the intersectionality that leads to the prison, excuse me, to the school to prison pipeline, and ultimately to gun violence in the streets of America. The doctor served on Florida's Police Chiefs Association Subcommittee and Accountability and Social Change, addressing systematic inequities within law enforcement. She also serves as the commissioner on the Miami-Dade State Attorney's Continuing Justice Reform Commission. She is also Florida State Advisor for Giffords Law Center to Prevent Gun Violence and a member of the Florida Gang Investigators Association. She's the former director of several at-risk youth prevention programs with various specializations ranging from substance abuse, HIV, STI, and gangs. She has provided years of intervention and advocacy for youth and families dealing with complex institutions, including school districts, law enforcement, Department of Juvenile Justice, Department of Children's and Family, and Florida Department of Corrections. So, without further ado, let's bring on our two amazing guests that we have today. And so lucky and happy to have.
Welcome to the show, ladies.
Thank you
Hey.
so much. Thank you.
Thank First of all, what
Thank you.
resumes on
I
deck?
know. I have to say, Janae, like these young ladies, just reading their resumes, it really resonates with me because pretty much everything that they advocate for is stuff that we've advocated for with Just Vote Period and with People Manifest with the gun violence initiatives and stuff like that. So I love you both.
Love you too.
We love
All right.
you.
Thank you,
So,
ladies.
so although we're not here to talk about the other amazing things that you do and you're involved in, and we probably have to circle back and definitely bring you on, have you on High Low News to do, to talk about that with more detail. We are here doing a special edition of our show, and we're focusing on our Haitian community and more sort of recent attacks, coming from the mouth of the ex-president and just how it affects the community. We know none of us are strangers to all that Haitians have gone through over the years, and just when you think you got a break or we've moved off from that, it rears its ugly head again. So we really want to hone in and focus on that topic here today, right, Janae?
Yeah. And as we get into our first question that I have for both of you ladies to answer, we all saw the news and the headlines recently about immigrants eating their pets, and it was targeted to the Haitian community in Ohio, and it's had horrible repercussions and consequences for the Haitian community across the globe. And so I wanted to get your comments on how those comments personally made you feel. Like, what was your personal reaction to those negative comments made by the Republican candidates for president, Trump and JD Vance? And Vanessa, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I think for me personally, it was a moment of here we go again, because this is not the first time that we've heard this former president make accusations about a specific group. So I don't know if y'all remember in 2016 we had we were talking about Mexicans, right? And that Mexicans are these violent criminals, right? This generalization of a particular group of people, which really encouraged and started to, that's where you really started to see xenophobia bubble up in a way that we hadn't really seen at this level, right? So we hadn't seen somebody who had the entire nation focused on them use their platform to spur xenophobia in that way. And so I think that for me personally, it was this sense of here we go again. But it was also a reminder, especially as a Black woman, not even as a Haitian woman, not the daughter of Haitian immigrants, but just as a Black woman, there's always this desire to demean us and speak about Black people in terms of their food, right? Because it's always this idea that we are so poor that we have nothing left to eat but cats, but fried chicken, but watermelon. And I don't think people had started to make this connection between the fact that you've got groups of people being demeaned by foods that they love and enjoy, right? Cats are not one of them. Cats and people's pets, not one of them. And I think it's important for people to remember that folks are entitled to eat whatever they want. You may have a friend who finds that to be a delicacy. That is not our national dish. It's not something that Shirley, I don't know if you were taught to how to prepare a cat. I have no idea. And I also think it's important for people to realize that when you're talking about people's pets, the desire in that case is to criminalize folks, right? To show that we have just zero compassion for animals, right? Because when we're talking, Shirley knows this better. You're profiling, criminals. You're looking at how did they abuse pets? How did they abuse animals? And so this desire to just criminalize us in this way, I think is what people really need to be focused on. And it's not just Haitians. It is the criminalization of Black people, because in Ohio, you see Black people. Until we open our mouth, are you really going to know where these folks came from?
Great point. I love how you
That
broke that
part,
down.
that
Yeah.
part, that was really good.
So I think
Dr. Shirley, same. Oh, I'm sorry. Same question for you.
No, I think for me, my initial feeling was, oh, we about to be gaslighted. This is what we're doing again, right? So
Yeah.
we are going to be gaslighted. We're
National-
not going to wait for the October surprise. We're going to use this right now as an opportunity. We're going to use this entire community as a pawn in the chess game, right? And to Vanessa's point, I think we want to be very clear. It's not just, I want to add to V's point, it's not just the criminalization. It's not just the derogatory statements of the Black community, because if we realize right after those comments were made public, the next day, they didn't even know where Haiti was, right? Or, the vice president, the candidate for vice president said they're from Haiti. So it wasn't even the fact that they knew who we were. It was simply, we were going to use this body of people to make a point. And then 2 days later, we were talking about, we're going to send all the Haitians back to Venezuela. So even when we talk about just the understanding of what we're doing, says to me that We don't understand geography. We don't understand history. We don't understand the ideology of those who bring versus those who come to take, right? And that, so for me, it was clearly, and I these people to gaslight them. And then the
Mm.
second part for me, I think, was as I thought about us being gaslighted, I instantly thought about the kids because the first group of people that everybody was talking about was the kids in school when kids can't go to school. And let us not forget, we have been here before, particularly what Papa Keith had said, right? We've done this around we've been around this merry-go-round before. We've done the whole Haitians bought the HIV. We've done the whole boat people. We've done the whole Zopound, really trying every aspect in who we are to not only to dehumanize us, but to make us an irrelevant. There's a reason why whenever they talk about Haiti, the first thing they say are the common words, the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere.
Yeah.
Let us not forget that there's a historical context to that, that if I can demean you, then your history doesn't matter. Mind you,
Right.
we're talking about the same group of people that don't give a damn about history to begin with, but we won't go there. So understanding, when I heard it, I instantly thought about the people who would hurt the most after I got being upset, being angry, and feeling targeted again. The first group of people I thought about were the young folks, because if we just pay attention to our history, history repeats itself, and that's exactly the exact same way that Zopound started, because it was a group of young Haitian kids that were being beat down on Haitian beatdown Fridays because they were being targeted, bullied, and talked about in these same demeaning ways that eventually led to Zopound being one of the most violent gangs in the state. So there is a whole history of us having been here before. And then I know we're going to talk about the narrative, so I'll get into the narrative piece a little bit later.
That's what's up. Great responses so far. Janae, this is really good. So I just want to tap on to something that you said and address it, right? So I grew up on a street in Brooklyn, New York, that literally had almost every representation of the Caribbean and America, right? I had Haitians on my block, Guyanese, we were Trini, Jamaican next door, American, you name it, Hasidic Jews. It was all there. It was all there. And I remember, growing up and watching what, Haitians were going through. Mostly at that time in school, it was because of the way they dressed, right? Maybe, for whatever reason, like parents didn't value putting them into expensive clothes and sneakers. And then
I mean, our parents thought they was like, we were sharp. I just want you to know. Like,
it was a cultural thing.
They missed the mark, but they
right.
ate that up. Okay.
I don't say no, but I remember like I used to advocate since then, like protecting, like, because I was like a top ranker. Obviously, I do radio, right? So I could always talk shit. So I would use that power that I had even at that age to kind of defend, my Haitian brothers and sisters from being picked on. And I remember it wasn't until Wyclef put the Haitian flag on his back that I saw it change. So to your point, it's like they do so many things to devalue and but it takes so much and so long to get back up. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like it's like the worst thing. It's horrible.
Yeah. And ladies, before I move on to my next question, I would love for you guys, either one of you can take this. Can you guys give us the history behind the negative remarks, especially one made around pets or cats in the Haitian community, just to give, our audience who may not know some context and some history. And I'm so glad, Dr. Shirley, that you broke down like the start of the Zopound gang that started in Little Haiti here in Miami. But can you go into the history of that and how, like, when especially a lot of us who grew up during a certain time period in South Florida, like it stung a little different, like, can you guys share the history around that?
So
I'll
go
ahead,
ahead.
Bree. No,
Well,
go ahead.
no, I mean, I just wanted to like a little bit of clarification. So you're talking about the remarks specifically around cats, because like we don't have a history of eating cats. So
No, not the history of eating cats. I guess
This
the
way came
history
from.
around the rhetoric of the Haitian community eating cats.
You know, I just, again, it goes back to a point that I made a little bit earlier around the fact that it's just a way to speak about this group of people, about us, in terms of like poverty and struggle, right? So, what is an accessible animal that exists? A cat, right? In this case, of course, all of this history started from a tweet, right? If we're talking about Ohio specifically. But I think people took that and ran with it and even started to like propagate this idea that Haitians do eat cat. And what I often was telling people, you know, you might have a friend who eats cat. That's totally valid. Like you probably have a friend who eats all kinds of things. People eat horse, people eat all kinds of things depending on where they're from and what they're into. That doesn't mean that this entire group of people eats this particular animal. And I think what we're seeing is that, again, it's this idea of poverty, right? So pets are easily accessible. But number two, that there's this like Haitian boogeyman character, right? Or some kind of like demonic person of Haitian descent who's like coming into your home and stealing your pets, because that's what started to really like hit on social media, right? They're going to come into your home and they're going to steal your pets and they're going to eat them. In what world? I mean, that is the most asinine thing I've ever heard.
So I kind of want to piggyback on V for a little bit. If we go back to answer Janae's question a little bit in depth, we have to bring it back to the boat people, right? There was something about dehumanizing. So about the boat people, the first trips, the first boats that landed here 51, 52 years ago this December. It is really about, it was the clothing. It was calling them the boat people. It was calling, we identified, we would find, and when I say we, including the Black community, right? We would find the most demeaning ways to identify this community that was new, that was young, that was fresh, that didn't necessarily have representation. Everybody didn't have a Papa Keith that was trying to protect the most vulnerable, right? So that being said, these narratives started to be created, one, because of poverty, two, because of the areas in which these communities landed, right? So when you started talking about Little Haiti, and again, going back to the poverty, this was a way of creating a narrative for a community before the community itself even had an opportunity to create its own narrative. Way before the community even identified who they were, a narrative had been created for them by a community that they were hoping would be a lot more welcoming, number one. I also say, number two, let us be very clear about the history of cat eating countries. There are 6 countries on this planet that eat cat, and Haiti ain't one of them. That's number one. Number two, we don't assimilate or give the same conversation that we do to other countries across the world that's eating scorpions and roaches and all types of other stuff. We're not talking about that. And I want to take us even further. Just for the record, we come from a country that has a whole lot of seafood. So before we eat cat, we're going to eat a whole lot of lobster, a whole lot of conch, a whole lot of fish, because it's easily and readily available to the damn people and ain't got to pay for it. We got to go to somebody else's house to get a cat. So the logic behind what is being said is not only a misrepresentation, not just of the cat, but it's a misrepresentation of an entire community, just for the sake of trying to demean and dehumanize the community as a whole.
And if I could just add one more point.
Yeah.
I think we also are seeing there's like this other thread of you need to be fearful of these folks, right?
Oh, yeah.
This is why we have to take back our country, because we've allowed all of these folks to infiltrate us. And here's what they're doing now. We need to be terrified of these folks. We need to get rid of them. And to do that, we need to vote this particular way. And that is the scary and dangerous part. This continued focus on groups of people being the reason why people do not have. People do not have because the government has completely failed to do what they were supposed to do. Okay, certain governments, they keep telling us, keep trying to tell us who we are, keep trying to tell us that it's the next man who's the reason that you can't get this cookie. Meanwhile, they have all the cookies stockpiled in front of them. But then this one group is the reason why you can't get this one cookie. And so we have to be like really mindful too about what underlies even the desire to put this sort of messaging out.
I got
Listen,
one comment to make before Papa
You
Keith
can't
jump
have
in.
us both on a show.
Yeah, that
No, this is
listen.
good. I
My
love
last,
it.
go,
Keep it
go,
going.
go.
my last comment. I got a question for y'all. This the same candidate that called women cat ladies, right? And now you're talking
Ah,
about the community with cats.
Man.
I'm just saying there
Oh
seems to be
man.
an affinity with cats with this particular person who has gone to the extent of saying, I will create narratives if I need to. And we talking about some damn cats. I'm just saying, just a
He just needs
question.
to focus on his
That's a
couch. All
good
right.
point. That is a good point.
well, as you brought him up, he did turn back around and said that he made that story up, right?
Mhm,
Did he not?
mhm.
He turned around and said that he made that story up. He admitted that he created a story so that the American media actually pays attention to the suffering of American people. And that's why he did it. Um, like we had a question, like, since he's the topic that we kind of slid into, what steps can we take as individuals to hold public figures accountable when they lie and make these type of racist remarks? Like, how can we organize to push back?
Let me take this one so I can protect my friend who's an elected official. The first thing we need to do is the first thing we need to do is hold our own Haitian elected officials accountable, because if they are not united in an answer, in a response, and providing guidance to everyone else, then the nuance, the narrative becomes something totally different. Holding folks accountable, I'm a big proponent of accountability, but you can't hold others accountable if we're not holding self accountable.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And when you have an entire body, I want to be very clear. We are one of the minority groups that have the most elected officials as a young community, right? In the Haitian community across the country. So you've got electeds in New York and Boston, New Jersey, across this country. So when this issue came out, if there were anybody that should have come out first, it should have been a unified body of leaders, elected leaders, who came out and said, this is unacceptable. Because guess who has some of these same elected peoples come to their conference? Our Haitian elected officials. So if you're going to cater to them, then we need to have the same energy to hold them accountable when some in the party are silent. That's number one. How do we push back against all of this? Again, it is all of us. This idea that this ain't got nothing to do with me because I don't eat cat, that's them people over there. No, it does have something to do with all of us, because all it takes is one narrative to completely define an entire community. And this was an example of that. So this idea of me versus them is, I think, an ideology that we have to change, because that divide and conquer is real. And when they know that they can use that divide and conquer in a community, they capitalize on that. So the other way that we can organize is stop sharing the damn video. Because all you do when you share the video is you raise their narrative, you raise their profile, and people who hadn't seen it, hadn't heard it, now are interested to go down that rabbit hole. How do we hold them accountable? I'm going to say this, and I've been saying it the past couple of months. Numbers don't lie, y'all. I was sitting in a meeting most recently, and the very first thing someone said is, well, the LGBTQI community, we bring $32 billion to the country. Well, damn, how many Haitians we got working in the United States? How much money? What is our value? Because until you can show these people the green dollar, it doesn't matter. Just like we did with the Haitians, when they said the Haitians bought the HIV, and V and I were on a panel, and I said this a couple of weeks ago. We've done this before. Why are we trying to recreate the wheel? We know what to do to get the attention and make people back down. You know why they back down on the HIV thing? Because we took over the bridge in New York, and all the Haitians say, we ain't going to work today. So if you want to see how people act and hold people accountable, start with their pockets. Give them a day without Haitians and watch how people will function. Because I tell you, the very first industry that will fail will be the healthcare system. If you look at how many CNAs, how many LPNs, how many RNs, how many doctors we have, let Haitians say they're not going to work for a day. Hold people accountable, not just with conversation and not just with narratives. And, we've gotten so comfortable behind our phones that we feel that that's the new way to advocate. We too damn comfortable in AC. We too damn comfortable behind our phones. Let's get the work done, create a narrative. And once you get that narrative out there and it's a unified narrative, then we can begin to do calls for action. But if every little rally we have, we got 50 people, ain't nobody listening to us. But you put a rally together that got 300,000 people and watch the narrative change.
Mm-hmm. And if I could add to that, you know, this idea behind allyship is more than just folks behind their phones saying that we stand with the Haitian community. You have to actually show up too, right? Because again, you know, when they were talking about Mexicans, they were talking about Mexicans. In fact, they were not just talking about Mexicans, they were talking about all immigrant groups. And just like right now, they're talking about Haitians, but they're not just talking about Haitians, they're talking about all Black people. Because right now we're a micro focus. What happens next? Who are they going to target next? And Black people in general have always been the target, have always had, you know, these negative stereotypes and attributes cast on them from folks trying to, you know, make their political stance clear. So I think that it's extremely important for us to unite in the ways that we did in the early days and make sure that we go back to that as our generations are growing, as we're growing as a population. There's no reason why we can't shake a bridge again. There's no reason that we can't stop I-95. Shirley's talking about the healthcare industry, and I think that is a fantastic point. But what about our kids? Who's going to educate them?
Yeah.
What's going to happen? Do that.
Right. And so, because, you know, and again, this goes back to these ideas of Black jobs. I don't think people realize the fact that Haitians and Black people are in these industries that we are actually running these industries for the most part, and that listen, we may not have the hospital named after us, but we go missing. They're going to notice. And so it's extremely important for us to really allyship. And then, of course, I think, you know, PK, you're going to like this, just vote. Because the reality is that all of this can be done, all of this can be said, because they believe that certain people would just rather opt out of the system, right? And opting out allows other folks to make a decision for you. But if we just go out and vote, now we're able to dictate and actually send a message as to who we want to represent us and what we're willing to accept and what we're not. You know, I got folks on my social media that I went to school with, and I'm looking at them like, is this how you feel about me? Because I cannot believe, and I'm somebody who accepts people's political views, whatever. But now that messaging like that has come out, you grew up around Haitian folks, and you still 10 toes for this person? In light of the things that even have been said most recently in the wake of hurricanes, this is your leader? So what does that say about how you feel about me? And so those are the folks that we got to start sending messages to, because I don't think that this nation is a nation of hate. I don't think that this nation is one where we do not embrace and value the diversity of people. I don't think that this is a nation that calls on us, that wants us to be xenophobic and tell people that they are not loved and welcomed here. Because this nation welcomed y'all. And so I think if we go back to basics, go ahead.
No. I just wanted to. I also want to create this context that we need to understand. And we were both on the census, the 2020 census, you know, coalition, for lack of a better term. We need to understand that everything is connected and everything is political. Don't get it twisted. Everything is connected. So when we just say, oh, there's only 250,000 Haitians in Miami-Dade, when in reality, we know that Miami-Dade, state of Florida, has the most Haitian immigrants, Haitian Americans who can vote than any other parts in this country or in the diaspora, right? And then that's it. That can turn an election. But if I can minimize you by your census count, if I can minimize you by saying that, you know, you all really aren't here, and I maneuver the numbers, and, you know, you don't report as you should, and, you know, we make it as complicated to report, I promise you that the comments that were made would have never been made to the Cuban community because they understand the power of the Cuban vote in Miami-Dade County. They would never have tried the games, the pawn on the chess that they tried had we really begun to identify and quantify the impact of the Haitian immigrant, right? Particularly the Haitian American vote. Because when you're sitting here saying, and we're letting all these immigrants in to vote, it's an asinine comment when there are real Haitian Americans that can vote, who actually pay taxes and make damn pretty good money in this country. But because we have polarized everybody and put us in this box, right, and isolated them that this is a poor community, the more you say that, the more their followers begin to believe it. And in such, it creates another narrative that any Haitian that votes is illegal in their mind, should not be here, and we're all immigrants. It is very strategic, it is very intentional, and it is very, very deliberate as a way. It happened in Ohio, but the message was heard around the country with all Haitian Americans. And like you say, first it was the Haitians they came for, and you said nothing. So when they come for you, don't say nothing.
I gotta say, this is amazing. Listen, if you're enjoying what you're hearing today, please share it. Take a moment right now to tap somebody in on this conversation. It's a very important one. It's one you're not gonna find outside of the Haitian community too tough, and that's why we found it important to be able to do this and honor our Haitian brothers and sisters by having this topic and this conversation. So please share it, take the link, share it, let everybody know what you're tapping into right now. Y'all ain't got nothing else to do. The storm is brewing and you ain't out at the grocery or running around. So definitely tap in with us. Janae?
Yeah. And just switching gears just a tad because we're still going to talk about like government and organizations. Ladies, I would like to know from you, what role do local governments and organizations like the city of North Miami Beach or city of Miami, especially cities that have large Haitian populations, what role do they play in protecting its community from the effects of these type of negative rumors? And Dr. Vanessa, we can, start with you.
So I think
Sorry,
Shirley did
I called you
on
Dr.
it.
Vanessa. I'm sorry.
It's fine. It's fine. I think Shirley did touch on it, right, in terms of being able to unify the voices of elected leaders. I think it's also important for us to come up with local policies or even resolutions, right, that stand out against this and be an example for other cities. So, for example, Mayor and Council of City of North Miami at our last council meeting actually put out a resolution condemning those statements, and we made public statements. And while that's symbolic, right, I still think it's extremely important to do and also share with other municipalities, because what's essential is that we know, again, to this idea of allyship, if we're all elected officials, right, and we're all in this like one club together, then I would assume that what's important to me, right, should also be important to you. And people should be important to you. So it's going to be real telling, because we did send it out to different cities. It's going to be real telling to when we start to see who all going to share that, right? And who all is going to actually pick it up and put out a statement. I do want to give a shout out to my girl, Rachel Straightfeld, commissioner in North Bay Village, who had asked for a copy of a resolution. I don't even think she knew that we had passed it, but had requested a copy. And things like that are important because it sends a message to the community. I also think it's important for us, and I took a point of personal privilege during that last council meeting to also share, just personal sentiments of my own as to why this kind of stuff cannot fly and why we can't tolerate it, right? We have to be able to recognize the humanity in each other, regardless of where we come from, regardless of our backgrounds. And oftentimes in the political space, in the government space, it's not this place where you want to get sentimental, and it's not the place where you want to have these like touchy-feely messages. But one thing about Vanessa Joseph is that I'm going to say it if it's on my heart. And it's important because people just completely disregard, right, what this actually means. And sometimes you have to remind people. We also have to take advantage of opportunities to also tell the story about Haiti. Right. Mm-hmm. And one thing I'm very big on, and this is how I feel about anything in general, I don't always feel like it's my responsibility to educate people because Google is still free. To my knowledge, it is still free.
Know how to
AI
use
is
it.
out now, and while I do not believe in doing research on AI, I do think it is a good starting point for folks who don't want to Google, right? I do think it's important for people to know the history of Haiti and also be able to be grateful for that history because but for Haiti, a lot of folks would not be able to enjoy the freedoms that they have. But for Haiti, Black people, right, would not have had that level of support because we had said, hey, we did it. Y'all can come over here. We still got debts we got to pay to France, but you can still come over here because that's who Haitian people are. We're welcoming. We're welcoming people. We fight for what we believe in. And I think it's important to also acknowledge the fact that there would be, right now it's Hispanic Heritage Month. There would be no Latin America but for Haiti, who created the region, who assisted in the liberation of these Latin American countries. Haiti, who should be the centerpiece of Latin America. Right. And we have to educate. We have to take advantage of our spaces. Dr. Shirley mentioned this earlier, right? These are the same folks who don't want us to know our history, don't want it taught in schools. So we got to be in our churches doing it. Every opportunity that we get on the radio, we've got to do it. We have to hold irresponsible media accountable for not telling those stories and for perpetuating these like extremely harmful this rhetoric, these narratives. It's extremely important for us to hold them accountable because we need to be able to tell the story as it unfolds, right? And we have to be able to tell the truth about it. And so, I think that those are just a few of the things that we can do. And I also think, again, it's important to not just talk about our history, but even talk about our today, right? The things that we're going through are not because Haitian people are savages. We wouldn't want to start a civil war just for fun. This is, again, Haitians who are fighting for their liberation. People want to be freed. And we don't talk enough about what the U.S. government has done to put Haiti where it's at today. And what we as a people have to, we as Black people have to fight for the liberation of all people. That's who we are. That's what we do. And so we have to come back to our roots. We have to go back to basics and make sure that we're talking about these things. These are not subjects that should be off the table because we truly aren't free. We truly aren't free. And I know that we know that. And so we have to continue to fight for the liberation of all people. And that's when we're going to start to see change.
Wow. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Dr. Shirley, anything you want to add to that about things that cities or organizations can do in regards to protecting its communities from the effects of these negative type of rumors and comments?
So the first thing that I want to say is outside of Ohio, I can tell you that right here in Miami-Dade County, we have had numerous situations where children in schools have already started being bullied. We've heard it in New York. We've heard it in Boston. We've heard it. So when I said earlier that the comments were made about Ohio, but the after effects are being felt across the U.S. in cities that have large Haitian communities. The other thing that I want us to be very mindful of is there is a role, and I say this a lot, so I'm going to own up to it. People get mad when I say it, and so what? Everybody has a role to stay in your lane, and we will work a lot easier. Politicians have a role, CBOs have a role, particularly here in Miami. It bothers the hell out of me why we often feel like we got to recreate things. We've done this. A lot of the pioneers that were here, during the first, second, and third iteration of us being directly attacked are still here. So the need for us to recreate the wheel is crazy to me, right? If it worked before, how about we do the same thing? Just add the components that were not available. Add the fact that you have such a large swath of young Haitian American professionals. How about we add the swath of social media in a positive light? Let us create, and then for the politicians, stop letting our community be a pawn to people. Everybody, every time they want to vote, that's coming in, but we never see them. And then when we get attacked, they missing and their voices are silent. Stop letting them come kneel down at the little Haiti Cultural Center. I'm just saying.
Mm.
But at the end of the day, there's a responsibility and a role that we all have to hold everybody accountable. These young people are looking up to us, and we continue to fail them because we want to do 100 million things, and the heart and the essence of them being targeted, bullied, people being pushed at bus stations, little mommies and poppies are afraid to go to work, and we out here trying to figure out who's going to get the limelight today, who CNN going to have on the interview to talk about whether we eat Haitians or cats. At the end of the day, there's real work to be done, and collectively I think we do better as a community when we allow the Commissioner Marlene Bastien that's been doing this, the Gypsy Metellises that's been doing this, the Leonie Harmingtons that been doing this, and then you add the Sandra Dennises, the Vanessa Josephs, and the line keeps going because there's so many. But the problem is if we continue to have these conversations and there isn't a call to action where we're actually saying, this is what you need to do, this is what you need to do, then it continues to be just conversation. So for me, how can we protect the community? How do we protect the narrative? Is we allow each person to do what they do best. Allow the community agencies to create safe spaces for these conversations. Allow the politicians and the elected officials to do the resolutions that may not go nowhere, but it's symbolic. And yeah, that needs to happen. Allow the chambers of commerce to figure out how do we empower and strengthen small Haitian businesses so that they too can be a part of the progress and the narrative changing. All of us have a role to play. And I say this all the time. It takes 12 sectors to create a community. How about we ensure that all 12 sectors are at the table? Because the success of one of us is the success of all of us. And the failure of one of us is the failure of the entire community.
Wow, powerful. I want to bring up something that's going to be a little weird, but I want to clear up some things in terms of how we may view Haitian people with politics. All right. So I will say this may be coming from my ignorance, and this is something I just rather have an understanding. And both of you seem that you can cover this. So for me, I see it as Haitian men lean more Republican, right? Then I see Haitian women lean more Democrat, right? Then I know there was an issue with Haitians and the Clintons. I don't know what happened, but something happened there. Y'all ain't messing with Clinton, right? So I want to understand how all of this has worked, how it works, and where are we with it now, if you can.
So that's a whole nother show, Papa T.
I know.
I'm trying to get as much as I can based on my Haitian people in today. I'm sorry.
I'm going to just briefly touch on it, and then Dr. Shirley, if I miss something that's crucial,
they already told me I'm not real Haitian because I wasn't born there, so I'm gonna let the real Haitian take that. Go ahead.
I wasn't born there either.
We got two fake ass Haitians. What you telling me?
Here's the issue. So the majority of Haitians in general, Haitian Americans lean Democrat, right?
Okay.
And I think that one thing we also have to demystify is this idea, and this is happening with Black men as well, right? There's this narrative that Black men are overwhelmingly becoming Republican. It is a very small group of them. They're not the majority, and we need to stop saying that they are, because they are not, right? Black people in general tend to be more conservative based on specific issues, right? And one of those issues within the Haitian community that comes up a lot is the issue of abortion, right? And that is part of the work that needs to be done in communities, right? To be able to articulate for our folks that we cannot be single issue voters. So you, who is an 80-year-old grandmother, may not ever be in a situation where you will need to get an abortion. But if we're only voting on that one issue, right, then we're losing all kinds of other policies that are essential to your own welfare, right? And so that is a huge issue within the Haitian community, and I'm sure it happens in other communities as well, where folks are narrowly focused on this one issue because there's a lot of money in the messaging, right? On that other side, there's a lot of push and it speaks to the values that we have religiously, right? But it's important for us to also understand that that is not the majority. Okay. And a lot of the other issues that are important to us, for example, issues that are not just important to Haitian Americans, because they're important to Black people and they're important to all people: access to healthcare, affordable housing, economic development, the reducing the wealth gap, right? Making sure that we're growing, right, economically as families, as communities. All of that stuff is important to us, and so we have this responsibility. And I think that Just Vote is the perfect platform for things like this, to remind people that we cannot be single issue voters. The issue of the Clinton, and it's not just the Clintons, right? It's, what are these foreign policies that these leaders in the United States have pushed onto Haiti, right? So the Clinton is a big one, because there was a point in time where Clinton thought it right to subsidize farmers here in the States and allow them to export their rice and send it to Haiti. So that destroyed the economy in Haiti for rice farmers.
Wow.
And so things like that, and of course, like, there's a lot. This is a history lesson that we can go into, but there have been a lot of policies that have taken place, whether it's through occupations, intervention. That's why there was like a huge call for no intervention, no Kenyans, no nothing in Haiti, because the issue is that every single time there was an intervention, Haiti got a lot worse. It momentarily seemed to get better, but what was really happening is that certain people were climbing up, and then folks were just getting more and more into poverty. And you had factories shutting down back. There was a time that the economy was decent, that there were things that you can go out and do in Haiti that you can no longer do right now. And so policies like the rice, right, which I think the Clintons did apologize for, but that was a huge one. That was like a really, really good example of one. But there have been policies over the years that have just really destroyed Haiti. And when it comes to foreign policy, it seems that what's always happening, and what Haitians see, is that American leaders have their nose in Haiti's business, right? Wanting to like implement these things, wanting to do all of this stuff. But when it comes time to actually help, there's never any help, right? And people don't immigrate to this country because, yes, it is the land of the free. It's a great country, but people migrate here because, and all people migrate here because you came into our country and told us that this was the way of living. This is how we're supposed to do it. This is how we're supposed to be. So now that we need refuge, we're going to come here because not only can we maybe find some family here, but also you told us that this was the best. So we're going to come here and we're going to see what it's all about. And then when we get here, we are severely mistreated.
So I also want to add to that just a little bit, because I always try to stay out of the historical context of the politics of Haiti, because it's so nuanced and people are so passionate about it. One of the things that I also want us to be mindful of is when Hillary was over, she was doing her thing at the State Department. There's a lot of people in the country who feel that Michel Martelly, who became president, was only there because of her. So everything else that has happened as a result of his presidency, the stealing of the money and everything that has happened since, the drugs, the guns, all that type of stuff, that is the narratives that have encircled this particular artist who eventually became the president, even against many of the people in the country. There's a lot of people who believe that the Clintons had a lot to do with that. Where Haiti is now, this issue with the gangs and this issue with the guns, when Haiti doesn't produce guns. So how the hell do we have these guns in Haiti? And that's a question we constantly ask and no one can answer. We're not, there isn't a gun manufacturer in Haiti, but we got more guns in Haiti than the cops have, right? Yeah. So this ideology that a lot of what has happened in Haiti, the downward spiral of Haiti, to the point that right now they're literally, it almost feels like an occupation. where the United States didn't want to put their fingerprints on it. So they went through the UN and brought in Kenyans and Jamaicans and all this other stuff, where people still feel this is the remnants of the decisions that were made years ago as a result of the Clinton administrations. But as far as the voting, I think you ask a great question, Papa Keith. I want us to be very mindful that there is no community that is monolithic, right? Every community, you're going to have people vote this way and people vote that way. And if we didn't do that, everyone should be concerned, right? But I also want us to be very mindful about the patriarchy of a lot of the countries. So there are people, men in particular, tend to resonate a lot more with the Republicans because of that authority, that stature, and I'm in control, and the patriarchal role, whereas the women are like, but our rights and our freedoms and everything that we fought for, the suffrage and all this other stuff. So a lot of that is what we're seeing, and it's not just in the Haitian community, but I can tell you, when it came time for them to try to get our vote, the Republicans were in Little Haiti 4 years ago, and the Democrats were kneeling down in Haiti 4 years ago. So they understand the need to be in our community. There just is no respect for the community.
And I also just want to touch on the whole Republicans were in Little Haiti thing. So this keeps coming back up. Like, I was under people's social media feeds, and they're like, oh, well, you know, this is y'all's fault because y'all was, who is y'all? Who is y'all? Because I was not
y'all.
there. You did not see my face.
I wasn't there.
And it's like, it's as if like we're single-handedly responsible for his ascension to power. We didn't vote in those numbers. That's not what we did. We did not put him there. And yeah, we was like, people wasn't feeling Hillary, but we were responsible enough to do what we were supposed to do. And then we gave y'all 2020. We helped y'all then, but we didn't put him there. Like, we don't, like, who is y'all? And it's always
you the y'all.
Not me. It couldn't be me. But we keep like talking. We always talk as if like all these Black people came out and voted for. That's not happening. It's not happening. You know, there is a group. People are Republican and are Black, and that's okay. Right. I don't know if it's okay that you're a Trumper, but you know, okay. But you know, especially right now, and especially with what's being said, I think it's also just difficult for a lot of Haitians, even if you previously voted for him, to rationalize the fact that you would double down and do it again, given what has come out of his mouth and what that administration has done in the past.
This has been an amazing conversation, ladies. I have a quick aside too, outside of some of the questions that we wanted to ask. How do you guys feel about the response from the Black community, especially Black Americans, from the remarks that were made by JD Vance and Trump? What were your reactions to that? Like, how do you feel?
I mean, I think we have to give credit where credit is due. So, you know, there were folks who came out and published statements against it. At one of the rallies that was held at North Miami, the Mocha Plaza, Chevron Jones was out there speaking up. I think that that's important to acknowledge. But what I would really love to see is community-wide support for the moment that dropped, for people to be able to say, yeah, that don't even sound right. I've never been to a Haitian's house. Chef Creole never gave me cat to eat. Never been to a restaurant where I was offered cat. Never been to a home where I was offered cat. And I think it's just extremely important. And if people only want to do the social media activism, all right, cool. But I think we need to, what I would love to see is for more of our Black community to come out and say what the contributions have been. Because I don't think, just as much as they're not talking about how Bahamians built Miami, is the same way that we're not talking enough about what Haitians did to give us America. Right? To give us liberty in a lot of different countries. And so what needs to happen is that the Black community, when something like that comes down, in addition to the Haitian community, who should absolutely be on top of it, for us to be standing side by side with our brothers and sisters to fight against these harmful narratives. that for me is extremely important. And I do applaud the folks who came out, said something about it, published information about it, use their platforms to talk about it. I appreciate both of y'all for that. But I just think that we have to do more, because they're not just talking about Haitians. They're not. They're talking about each and every single one of us. They don't even know. I don't know. I'm not sure what it is about me that makes it easy for someone. Maybe the last name Joseph, I guess. I guess. But, I don't know what it is about me that makes someone say she's Haitian versus she's just Black. Right. And I think that that's true for a lot of people. So we really need to start acting as if we're all in this together, because we are.
So for me, I think again, when the boat people concept and they were coming here, it was a lot of the Black churches who stood with us. For example, the Ship Church down in Liberty City that is still there, and during the celebrations of the 50th anniversary of the first ship, where we honored, a lot of the Black churches and the Black partners that were there. I think there has been a real push in certain communities to understand that our fights are not different. We may speak different languages, but our fights are not different. And ultimately, because you can separate Little Haiti and Liberty City by one street, when they talk about the Haitian community, they're also referencing you, right? Our part. It may just be in language, it may just be in our cultures and our mannerism. But right now, I got kids walking around who are straight African Americans. Come Haitian Flag Day, they tell you I'm a Zoe, tatted on my chest that I'm a Zoe, right? Or they'll tell you on the other end, I like riding with the Zoes because they the ones with all the money out here. At the end of the day, our young people understand the value of coming together. It's the adults we got to work on. But I still want to give kudos where kudos are due, because at the end of the day, there are a lot of African Americans who stood up and was like, this don't even sound right. Y'all need to kill that. And there were real leaders that said, I remember, and I'm gonna give DC Clark a shout out. I remember where he put out, it was DC Clark, it was Dewey Knight, it was those people that came out and said, yo, we were here in the 80s when this happened. And we remember what happened. We can't allow this to be the new narrative. So for those people, we applaud you, and we continue to say thank you for the partnership. And for those who thought that it should be made into a meme and a song and a TikTok video because it was funny, understand that today it's us, and it can easily be you tomorrow morning.
That part.
I love that the way you guys broke that down and share that, and definitely shout out to DC Clark and Dewey Knight, a lot of our Black American leaders who stand in solidarity. To me, we're all, of course, we celebrate our diversity as Black people, but and every culture has their uniqueness. But to me, to me, when I heard the comments, I'm like, y'all talking about Black people. This is like a whistle dog type of situation. And to me, especially as a Black millennial who grew up in the 90s and early 2000s, when it wasn't fashionable, when it wasn't trendy to be a Haitian, I really love that a lot of some of the millennial influencers that I watch that are from South Florida or from Miami, that it was kind of like what you said with DC, is like, we remember this, we're not going back to that. And we're not standing for this. We're not going to we're not going to perpetuate this ugly stereotype that y'all trying to say about Haitian people. And so to me, I felt like could have been more of a unified response. Yeah. But to me, it felt different from what it was in the 90s when it was a us versus them, which I feel like is by design anyway, because if you look at all four of us on this screen, we all look like we're from the same tribe in Africa anyway. So I really feel like they do that to keep us separated, because if you really know the truth about Haiti and liberation and being the first free country in the Western Hemisphere that is all Black, like if we learn that what that history is and unite, they don't really want to see us unite in that way. They don't want y'all to teach us how to really get our liberation. I really feel like, and that's on some deep state type stuff. I am my conspiracy theories, but I really do feel like that on some design is really, especially our
It's
Caribbean brothers and
strategic,
sisters who see Black leadership in their countries when they come here and they have a different perspective. I really feel like they want that division between us, and to see like it's a us versus them, or you're American, you're real American, they're immigrant, when really we're all Black people. Before any of us open our mouth, before they know hear an accent or a different language, we're all Black people first. The cops a lot of times they're not gonna say, "Are you Haitian? Are you Jamaican? Are you Black?" Like, no, they're shooting all of us.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's
So
straight facts. And I'm so happy, Shirley, that you brought up, DC and Dewey, because it's, and I hate that it has to be that way, but it is on our Black elders to remind us of our history as well. And to remind us that this is not something that's difficult to do. It doesn't take anything away from your Blackness. It does, like, no, there's nothing wrong, right? And in fact, it is the right thing to do, to stand in solidarity. And then also just thinking about, even the jokes that are made, even within your circles. Like, I have to shut people down when they're saying things like, listen, but I know somebody who eats cat. Haitians eat cat. I know somebody who eats cat. No, you know somebody who eats cat. You know a person who is Haitian who might eat cat. That does not mean we eat cat, because we don't. Right. And so when the jokes are made at school, teachers got to shut it down. When jokes are made in the home, you've got to shut it down with your own kids, because those are the things. And especially with children are the premier social media network in and of themselves. So even in the conversations that they're having, right, it can make somebody else feel uncomfortable. What kind of kids are we raising? Right. And so we have to make sure that we're shutting it down. And part of that is also having these conversations with our Black leaders, our Black elders, to remind us that we've been here before. Right. So the DCs and the Deweys and the Gypsies and the Marlens and the Leones can come together and say, look, we've done this before. We've been here before. And here's how we do it together, because it's them today, but it's y'all tomorrow. This otherization of folks, we cannot continue to stand by. We cannot continue to allow them to tell us that there's this kind of Black person, the model minority. We can't keep feeding into those narratives. They take us nowhere.
We're gonna wrap this up soon. This has been such a great conversation, but we got another question that, and I think it's probably the perfect way to kind of to slide out of this amazing episode for our podcast.
Before we go there, because I just thought of this something that I've seen on social media about, like, this misconception with cat community. It doesn't have anything to do with the word cake and how that's pronounced. Because I saw something that, like, the way you say cake in Creole is like sounds like cat, and that's why people were confused. Like, have you guys heard that? And
I've heard that, and I thought it was the most ridiculous thing. Like, stop! Like, we really got to stay mission focused. We say gato, and gato is cat in Spanish. We also have this expression that's like "que le gapo," which means, like, what does that have to do with anything? Like, it really, like, they're trying to use that as like a justification. It doesn't make it. It might make sense in the person's head who said it. It does not make any sense to me. It has nothing to do with that. Genuinely nothing to do with that.
Yeah, I think it's cat.
Cake is how you say cake in Creole is how they say cat in Spanish. Is that what they were trying to say?
Gato.
Yeah. Gato.
But there's like no relationship, because it's
I
not,
think
it's
that's
not like
cat.
Spanish speakers are not the ones calling us cat.
Because I think because even growing up in New York, we used to question some of the Asians from the Chinese restaurant in terms of them actually eating cat and going to Chinatown and seeing some of the animals hanging from the window, and then flipping it to, like, that's what your pork fried rice is. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm all too familiar with that stuff for many years. So I would agree that's cap. But that was a good point that you brought up, Jenny. I didn't even know about that. You know what I'm saying? So
I saw that on socials. I was like, what is this? I've never heard that before.
Yeah, that was a good catch. But what I was gonna say too is that I want us to kind of end off with the resilience. All right. So we've talked about a lot of things that the Haitian community has been through since the 70s, the 80s. We talked about the stuff that's happening now. We talked about some of the growth, some of the high, the ebb and flows. Let's talk about the resilience. And I would start by saying that in my walks of life, and having connected with many people, and even out of the Caribbean people who I spent a lot of time with, Jamaicans, they're really good, but nobody's more resilient in my eyes that I've ever seen or witnessed than Haitian people. So I'm gonna start. I'm gonna start. With that, just what I've seen them go through, and then still turn around and use things that have been, weaponized against them, and allowing them to make that their strength and be like, I'm going to show you. And I think Haitians have done the
Mm-hmm.
best job of, like, I would like to call it, buying back the block. That's why y'all have so many elected officials in the most. That's why y'all
Right.
are the way you are. So all of those things that you've been through has made has created something. Just even talking to you two, that resilience that your parents or whoever went through, it created you,
Mm-hmm.
and has you speaking in this manner and doing all the amazing works that you're doing. I mean, no disrespect to any other Caribbean island, no, not Jamaica, no, not Trinidad. I'm just speaking personally from what I've seen, the resilience of Haitian people, out of this world.
Yeah. I think part of that is because we don't have a choice. So there's
I ain't
that.
got
Never
no
given a
choice,
choice.
Life
man.
goes on. It's
Never
really
given a
interesting.
choice.
Yeah, it's really interesting that you say that, because it reminds me of something actually that Shirley came to my full-time job, and did a presentation, and one of the things that she mentioned was just that, like, kids could spend a majority of the school year not going to school, right? Because
Mm.
there's chaos outside. And to think that these are the same kids who they're going to come to school here, and some may have difficulties, but the majority are going to figure it out and thrive, right? And they're going to do well. um, if you think about, even just to not go too far in history, right? You think about the earthquake in 2010, and the
Mm-hmm.
children who were forced to leave, right, as a result of that. And I have, I'll just say she's a mentee for now, because I don't like putting people's business out there too deep. But I have this young woman, who's like a mentee of mine, and immigrated here after the earthquake, and is now on track to graduate with a master's very soon, right? Having faced that trauma, is facing separation from her family, right? Because mom had to stay in Haiti, didn't have an option, taking care of a younger sibling while she's here, and working full time, and going to school and doing all of that. So imagine, right, what we're able to accomplish. But I think the thing that's like even more special about us is that in the midst of everything that we go through, we are still going to show up for other people. And I think that that's a story that's not told enough about Haitian people, because when we leave Haiti, which is a very collective society, we come into this individualistic one that tells us that in order to make it, you've got to neglect everybody else, and you've got to just focus on you, and you've got to do this, and you've got to make it to the top. And when you make it there, you just got to forget about everybody, because they're just going to pull you down. And still, you have folks like the Shirleys, right, who are out here still doing for other people in the midst of what we know our family has been going through, what we have to deal with in this country, right? We've been through a lot of trauma, right? 9/11 and beyond, pandemic and everything, and still finding ways to take care and heal our communities. And I think that that's really the special and remarkable story about us, that in our adversity, we're still going to figure out how to come together to take care of ourselves and each other. And I also think it's really special to know that even when we don't have, while they're saying that we're coming into people's homes to steal their cats, what we're really actually doing is opening our doors to other people who are in need. It's hard to find a Haitian person and tell them that you are in need, and they not find some kind of way to make it do what it do to help you. And I'm not saying that that's every single person, because obviously there are people who are just selfish in the world. There are mean people in the world. But on the whole, that is just not us. That's just not us. I mean, something happens to you today, we gonna have to figure out how it's gonna happen. It may not be me this time, but you know, the folks from the church or the folks from this organization or whoever are going to come together to do something. And that's the special part about Haitian people, that even when we've been through everything we've been through back home, we're gonna come into this country and want to make it better. We're the ones who are gonna come make it great again.
So I want to be very honest. I have my own personal feelings about the word resiliency, because because it's the new N word, right? A couple of years ago it was mental health, and a couple of years before that it was ADD. I mean, we come up with all these mental health terms, and then we label everybody, right? And I want to be very clear that I wouldn't need to be resilient if I wasn't forced to have to go through things. So that's the reality of being resilient. So just to create a picture for us, many of the people, and I dare to say all the people who are in Haiti who have migrated here don't want to be here. They prefer to be in their homeland. They prefer to not have to pay taxes. They prefer to be able to go home for 2-3 hour lunch breaks. They prefer to live on the ocean side. They prefer to do those things. But instead, they have to leave that comfort zone for whatever's happening, whatever other countries have meddled and allowed to happen, so that they have to be resilient. They have to get on these little tiny makeshift boats to travel hours and days in the water. Some die along the way. Some lose their children along the way. And the ones that don't make it through the water have to walk through 10 different countries along the Darien Gap in order to make it to our borders, only to be disrespected and treated as though they're a piece of crap. Then they get here and then have to figure it out and still make it do, because they've got a family. And then once they actually get it together, they have to be resilient enough to still send back home, to Vanessa's point, $3 billion a year of remittance to take care of their countries back at home, to take care of the little brother, the little sister, and to pay for school and to pay for the house, even though they may only be making less than minimum wage here in America, only to yet still not be considered, valuable. But when we were dying, they were the essential workers trying to keep us together. They were the ones working the hospitals. They were the ones working the markets. They're the ones who have to work in the fields. They're the ones picking our strawberries. We need to understand that the reason they're resilient is because they don't have a choice. Because if they're not resilient, they would die. Not only will they die, but the people that depend on them in Haiti will die. So the resiliency that you see, and the folks here. So the resiliency that you see is a little girl who crosses the border, who we assume we're going to move her back and forth. And now many of her family members are getting ready to go to her graduation. That's the resilience, because she understands when she makes it, her family makes it. On the back of all of these people, whether it be they're cleaning hotel rooms, whether it be they're picking up garbage in the streets, they are carrying the world of their families on their shoulders. And they fully understand failure is not an option, because if I fail, my community fails. So when we talk about resiliency, it really irks me, because we talk about resiliency almost as if we had a choice, just like the Black people. We ain't got no choice but to make it out here, because if we don't, ain't no cavalry coming to give it to us. So if we're not resilient, what options do we have? So yes, I think the resiliency of the Black people, on the back of the maids, on the back of the hotel workers, on the back of the dishwashers, on the back of the people that clean the streets. I happen to be an attorney. Vanessa happens to be an attorney. There's so many more like us, but only because of the resiliency of our parents are we able to sit here today and have this conversation with you.
Preach.
SP the GOAT said it best. Amen. Let the church say amen.
Wow.
Ladies, I think you guys are our most powerful guests this season. Like I'm
Facts, Janae. That part.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm not even just talking to, just gas you up. Like, this conversation had so many levels and the energy was a vibe. I mean, but I didn't expect anything less, but yeah, thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Listen, if people only knew how we whipped this thing up, boy. I mean, we can talk about it now, but like, my goodness, man, I wanted to say that just to tell y'all how much I really appreciate it, because y'all did come in the fourth quarter with 2 minutes left, and y'all hit
Yes, thank you.
that Ray Allen 3-pointer that carried the Miami Heat to the championship. So,
Just like a good Haitian would.
Hey, listen, we do a little thing called the aftermath after we let y'all go. So, we're gonna get into that stuff. But this was a conversation that definitely needed to be had. We definitely wanted to give an opportunity to debunk some things, to clear up some things, to get a better understanding, and also to tap in with y'all and find out what the pulse is out there with our Haitian brothers and sisters. We do stand with them. We will always stand with them. You are me, I am you. The love is there, trust me. And so we were happy and proud to do this. Janae did take the lead on this one, but it was a clear no-brainer for me, when she came up with it. So thank you both so very much. You did an amazing job. I co-signed that. Best so far for season 2. No disrespect to our other amazing guests, even DL Hughley.
I
Okay.
know. And he was great.
So, and he came with some fire.
Great, yeah.
So that says a lot, you know what I mean, of
But
how
y'all
you
still came. It
yeah,
did more.
yeah, y'all really came with it today. So we really appreciate you.
Thank
Again,
you.
thank you for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Appreciate
Thank you so
you.
much.
Thank you.
All right. Well, audience, y'all stick around. We got the aftermath.
Yep,
So
yep.
we're gonna keep, this conversation going, where we're gonna recap the conversation and give our immediate reaction to it.
Yes. So don't go anywhere. We still got some more stuff to talk with y'all. Man, what an amazing show. You literally, Janae, took the words out of my mouth. I wasn't gonna say it because I was like, boy, I want DL to see this thing here, boy.
I mean, and here's the way he was going on and on about Black women. I think he will get it.
Right.
If anybody will get
Yeah.
it, he will get it. But no, Dr. Shirley and Vanessa, like, first of all, thank you for pulling them through, because some of the guests that I reached out to weren't available. So I'm
Oh, Miss
glad
Villa,
that. But this was
I'm gonna thank Miss
perfect.
Villa. She's in the room right now. I know she's listening. So as she's in the room, I'm gonna shout her out because she helped me to really put it together. Melanie Burke,
Who, who, who was
huh?
it? Who was it?
Um,
What was the name that you said?
Najee Villicent.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. She was the one who really helped me put it together, and Melanie. So I start calling. I work my way through the channels. I go to the top, and then it boom gets me right where I need to be. So shout out to Melanie Burke as well for assisting.
Oh, definitely. I want to address some questions that came up in the chat about what happens after the elections, and I'm guessing that they're asking about our podcast. Does the conversation continue? This is from PS Social. He made a comment, said that's one of our issues. It still needs to be amplified after nothing's going on. The story shouldn't stop, and
Yeah.
so
Big shout out to
definitely.
Sharif.
Yeah. Hey, Sharif. I agree. Conversations like this from our platform will continue, from that part podcast and from High Low News, of course, and Just Vote, period, guys. We are not stopping. Of course, we're kicking it off with this election season, but please know, when everybody else goes silent, when they go back to their little cubby holes and they've made all their money, the community, me and Papa Keith will still be here. We've always been here. And so please know you will continue to see our platform going on after the general election, because here's the thing: Florida, we have a governor's race that's coming up, and we cannot let that just slip by us. And so
Y'all
I
saw
feel
what
like we have a whole year to
y'all
to
saw what
stay on top
happened.
of their necks.
Yeah, y'all living through what's happening. Talking about that, man. What got me hot. My daughter's boyfriend, Alden, Haitian. He
Wait,
was
which daughter? Who got a boyfriend? Not the
Kiki,
babies.
Dr. Kiki, Dr. Kiara, my eldest. You know what I mean? So shout out to them. I'm sure they tapped in right now. But we were talking about something, and we got into insurance. And he sent me this documentary showing how DeSantis pretty much was in bed with the insurance companies, and allowed these laws to pass where concerning citizens and all this kind of stuff. I don't want to get all into it, but just because you talked about the gubernatorial race, that is way more important for us here in South Florida than this presidential race, man. Listen, y'all gotta understand how this stuff really works. Okay, it's from the bottom up. The last things on the ballot are the most important things to the top. All right, because those are the things that affect you and your daily life. All right, and that gubernatorial race is going to be way more important. I don't even care who president is. Of course, I do care who president is, but I care more about who our governor is. I'll say that.
I think if they understood how states' rights versus federal rights work and how state government versus federal government, local government work, you would understand like the direct impact that like the governor's race and city commission and state senators and representative like directly affect your life. But even still, just talking about a example of like federal government versus state government, Ron DeSantis is on record as denying billions of dollars in aid, like he's denying it because it's coming from the federal government. So I think I can't remember the exact amount, but there was supposed to be a couple of $1 billion that was supposed to be for Florida HBCUs. He denied it because it was coming from the Biden administration. Right now, as we see the conversations, like he's not wanting to have a conversation with
Kamala.
VP Kamala Harris because he feels like it's political, but she's talking to other states who, have hurricane season and talking with them about plan and aid and what they can do to work together to release any federal funding and to work with state funding. And so this is what people don't understand. We voted for or didn't vote for the governor, and he's affecting our everyday lives. And so things like that we're now going through with hurricane season and needing disaster relief, even like you said, homeowners insurance. I heard of someone whose homeowner insurance got totally canceled and denied
Yep,
because of the last
yep,
hurricane season. And so
yep.
those things are
That's what
regulated
the
through the
thing was
state.
about. Yep.
Yeah, and that's regulated through the state, and who you elect as governor directly affects that. And so I think, as we do continue to do these conversations, Sharif, we definitely, like you said, these have to continue, but I think we'll also have opportunity to kind of break down, and I would
Yeah.
like to have like more conversations like how does that affect our insurance? How does that affect the roads, our education, our HBCUs, small businesses, immigration? What does that look like for black immigrants versus non-black immigrants? Because we know here in South Florida, the wet foot, dry foot policy that was so discriminatory against Haitians versus Cuban
Cubans.
immigrants.
Yeah.
And so these are things that local politics and local government and policy affect that we see right as we walk outside our door. And I think we need to just make sure that we're standing more in the gap for that. And also to shout out to the Haitian media that has been covering the issue, especially with the whole pet situation, that the negative remarks. The Haitian Times, Gary and Vanya over there, Leon Sweet, Wanda Tima, who's the founder of that. Like, shout out to the Haitian media who definitely kept me informed and kept me understanding a lot of the information of what's going on in the community around the country and, of course, around the globe on how this was affecting the Haitian community. So definitely want to give them a shout out for that coverage and, just how we as Black media should be standing together no matter what our ethnicity is.
No, absolutely. And it's so funny. We do some neat things, Janae, and we do it for some really dope reasons, whether people realize it or not. So, with the storm coming and stuff like that, I said, you know what? Let me because I have a really good relationship with Commissioner Bastien. I'm always in District 2, Gwen Cherry Park, and that whole area and stuff like that. And I have a unique relationship with the city of North Miami as well. Um, but uh, I said, you know what? Let me call her and have her come on as elected official to talk about safety for the storm. And my thought process was just that. I was like, you know what? I could have called anyone, the chairman, any one of the commissioners that we know, like 5 of them solid. But I said, let me give her an opportunity in her accent to come on the radio and tell people how they can get help. You know what I mean? And sometimes you don't really realize, you have your reasons of doing things, but you don't realize how it could really affect, or what you're doing and the long-term effects it could have. But I thought it would have been a great opportunity for her. And now just listening to all this conversation we had today and just focusing on the Haitian community, I was like, I thought about it while we in this podcast, and I was like, I'm so happy I thought to do that, because it now gives that opportunity for the people listening on the radio to hear that elected official, to know that she's an elected, she's one of the commissioners for Miami-Dade County, and to have them, and have her tell them how they can get help. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
During the storm. So, I like the fact how we rock like that and how we're, I guess, intentional.
Yeah, and even though you said you were talking about the storm, but in the light of the comments that the Republican presidential candidates have said demeaning our Haitian family, I think also too just messaging and imaging the imagery of hearing an elected official, a local leader who stands in the position of power and leadership talking about something that's so crucial to all of South Florida residents. I think also too that does something with messaging and imagery and I think as media, we have a responsibility to do that. So, like you said, you
Right.
could have chosen any other, the elected officials that we're cool with to talk to. But I think just in the light of the moment, what's going on, you kind of gave her opportunity to show a different image of the Haitian community without like
Not even trying
overtly
to, like,
saying,
yeah.
like, and I think that's really cool. Like right now, and to me, it just sounds so crazy. Like I really feel like I'm in the 90s right now. I'm like, what are we the fact that we had to kind of like like the Haitian community has to reclaim their humanity, like it just feels so late and so old and so tired. Like I'm like, why do we even have to be here right now?
Right.
And the fact that the Trump campaign is doing everything within their power and trying to do anything to have distractions and make it into the 24-hour news cycle with something sensational or flat out lies. I'm like to pull that old rhetoric out, that hurtful stuff that we had gotten past and worked past. I'm just really really annoyed and I won't say disappointed because they've been doing
Right. Right. Right.
shit like this, but it's just like, dang, like really, like, and I
Yeah.
really, really hope that the entire community, especially Black people, like we learn from our mistakes and say, nah, we not going back there. Y'all talking about us. Like we need to see it as
Yeah.
it ain't a us versus them. Y'all not talking about Haitians. Y'all talking about Black people, and we're not gonna have it this time. And I hope we
Yeah.
really show up at the polls in mass. And honestly, Dr. Shirley and Vanessa breaking down those stats of the Haitian voting population, I'm like, I didn't even know how massive it was. I mean, I know they have a huge community, but the fact that they could literally flip an election in Florida, like imagine if all Haitian Americans came and out and voted in Florida, like that would literally turn the state blue. Like if they if they decided to vote in mass in record
Right.
numbers.
And I give Haitian props on that too. Haitians, we talk about people sticking together. Like I think in the Caribbean diaspora, even with Black Americans, like we'll stick together for certain things. You know what I mean? Like we'll stand together for certain things. But I think that the Haitian community has been better at standing together just because. And a lot of it has to do with stuff they've been through, of course, but there's so much to be learned from my Haitian brothers and sisters, and I think that's the most exciting part for me. So the fact that they're becoming even more and more prevalent and more in leadership, and like those ladies were, man, fire. Like, you know what I mean? Just I could listen to them speak all night. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
so I think having Haitian leadership, the right Haitian leadership, and people like Dr. Shirley and Miss Vanessa, it really helps us to understand and learn things a lot better. There's so much that we can learn from them and the Haitian culture and just adapt it as a collective. I've been saying it, like, you know, we always classify ourselves in the Caribbean diaspora like, well, I'm Jamaican, I'm Trini, I'm Haitian, I'm from here. And I get that because we never say we're American. If you ever notice that, no Caribbean person says they're American, even though they're born and raised in America. They'll always go because they want to feel a part of that. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So just imagine now if we were to kind of like even just get rid of the Caribbean stuff and just be like, yeah, we black. What's up? You know what I'm saying? How much
Mhm.
more camaraderie we would have, how much we would erase certain lines. And like I eat Haitian food, I eat Jamaican food, I eat Trini food, I eat Black American food, like this is just what we do. And I think
Mhm.
Miami has been the best or one of the best examples, Miami and New York, of that melting pot kind of
Yeah, like
vibe. Like
we're we are one,
yeah,
shout out to Frankie Beverly, RIP. Like it's really to me, like you said, growing up in Miami, you get to engage with so many different cultures, especially from the African diaspora. Like
right.
to me, it's just regular. Like I eat all the food. I have friends who are from all different backgrounds, and it's just like no big deal. It's like, okay, like that's blackness to me. Just, different ethnicities, but it's all black, you know?
Yeah. Or even just certain Black Americans just understand, like even you mentioning that today, like some of your lineage and having a connection to Haiti in your lineage. And there's so much of that. You look at if people from other places don't understand it, or if you didn't say anything, and you look at Kodak Black, or certain other artists or Friday or whomever, and you wouldn't even understand unless they say like, "Yo, I'm Haitian." They just seem like Black American, right? Or they just seem like from
Yeah.
wherever. But the fact that like there's been so many generations of Haitian people now in this country that they just kind of blend into wherever they are right now, but they come from that.
They
So
let you know. I ain't never met a Haitian that ain't let you know they was Haitian. Like
very proud. Right, Haitian Flag Day is 365, 7 days a week.
matter of fact, put them Haitian flags in the comments if y'all still with us, if y'all appreciate this conversation and you appreciate
yeah,
our guests who dropped the gems. Put those Haitian flags in the comments. That'll let us know that you are with us and you appreciate this conversation.
yeah,
PK, man,
indeed.
like, you know, before we go, of course, we always like to give our plugs. And so let people know about
Absolutely.
Just For Period, how to follow you.
Yes. So first of all, we really encourage y'all to support us in what we're doing. Like we did the first series out of our own pocket. We're still doing the second series out of our pocket, but we really do need support. All right. So this is a part of the work that we do with Just Vote, period. This is an extension to that, just educating people about politics, about their rights, about things going on in the community. It is a nonprofit organization, Just Vote, period. So, in any way that you can support it, whether it's a donation now, a continual donation will be much appreciated. We'll just ask if you could go to justvoteperiod.com on the website, and on the very top of the website is a button to donate. Anything you could do will be much appreciated. We're going to do this regardless. We're just suckers that way. We're suckers for educating and communicating, but any little help y'all can do will be appreciated. Another way you can help, believe it or not, even if you can't do it financially today, no problem. We ain't pressuring anybody, but just supporting this, just letting people know what we're doing here, just spreading the word, and then taking the link and saying, "Hey, check this out, man. Hey, you want to know, about my people, and having people be educated about Miss Vanessa, and having people be educated by Dr. Shirley. This helps us as well. And last but not least, the support of High Low News. You know what I mean? So High Low News is a for-profit company, but it's a way to get the word out. So if you want to get the word out about your business, something event that you got going on, you got something to say, or somebody that really has something to say, Janae does that. She'll get you on her platform, she'll promote it for you with our online publication, High Low News. So please connect with her and get with High Low News and support that. So those are different ways that you could support us in different processes, and we'd appreciate any one of them. All right. One is donation, one is free, and one is a service. There you go.
What's free? What's free?
The free is just sharing.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay. I
just
just want to let it be.
share that we do this. Send the link to somebody that's free. Don't cost you nothing. And we'll appreciate that as well. And we do see all the Haitian flags. So big up, Haitian, tout Haitian, really way.
I'm mad because it won't let the StreamYard is being a racist right now, and it won't show the flags in the comments. I
Oh,
am so upset about that. I
oh,
see it.
okay,
I
got you.
see it as I'm looking at YouTube, but as
Got
I
you,
try
got
to
you.
for some reason it's doing this HT thing. So we see y'all, and
Yes.
if you're looking on YouTube, you can see the Haitian flags. But for some reason, StreamYard will not let the flag appear on the screen, but we know it is there. And if you're looking
Yes.
at the screen, you can see me and Papa Keith's social media handles. As he said, follow us. Also, to make sure you hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube, comment, share. That helps us in the algorithm and that helps us do what we're doing. And so, also, too, the closer we get the monetization, that also helps us with subsidizing the work that we're doing with that podcast. And like Papa Keith said, if you want to do advertising and promotion with High Low News, you can hit me up at High Low News. Miami.com or on our social media at High Low News. And then also too, like he said, if you want to advertise with Just Vote, period, not advertise, but make a donation or advertise with that part. We're doing it through Just Vote, right? I just want to.
Yes.
Okay, so you make it. So then it's tax deductible. So do it through Just Vote if you want to be an advertiser, and he has the information there, and it'll be a donation. So yeah, it's nonprofit media, and that's how we're doing it. And I think that's it for tonight. Anything else, PK, before we get out of here?
No, I mean we got a few more episodes to go for this second series. After that, I think the last one is right after the election. Then we will go in hiatus until the new year, and we'll start back in January to continue our work. We have some elections coming up in March, so between January to leading into March, we'll talk about some local elections. We'll talk about some local things. We'll cover, the inauguration and different things that's going to be happening because we definitely getting a new president for sure in
That
January.
part.
So we'll be covering those things. So we just want to let you know that we're not going anywhere. We're committed and we're enjoying ourselves. Actually, we talk about it after the show all the time. Like, this is fun. We gotta keep going, but we do need your help. I ain't gonna lie to tell you.
Definitely. So y'all make sure y'all support us. And if you go into the inauguration, let me know because I'm definitely pulling up. Hopefully, I'm gonna be there wearing some pink and green. And
Hey,
I'm saying that nonpartisanly, but you could get the hint. So if y'all gonna be in DC with your winter coats on, let us know.
all right, for real.
Thank you guys. It's been another great episode. We'll see y'all next week. Bye.
Peace.